Matthew Dickinson, why do you want me to ring this hour of the morning?
Oh, look, I'm just a bit tied up with about 17,000 meetings today, so I couldn't quite do it in an hour's time, I'm sorry.
Oh, gee whiz, go to the naughty corner. Hey, remote-controlled cyborg cockroaches have been invented by the great Japanese, who make the best video games ever. Hope to swarm, and they could be used to check hazardous radioactive sites or monitor the environment, such as Chernobyl. Little Madagascan cockroaches, 5 centimetres long, have been fitted with tiny leg control electrodes connected to backpacks containing ultra-thin solar panels. This is science fiction stuff, Matty.
It sounds like science fiction stuff, but these are the things we're working on. And it's interesting because scientists have had little devices similar to this that are completely electronic. But in this case, they thought, well, why go to all the trouble of creating something that can fly? Because, well, cockroaches can move around and they can do part of the job for us. They're pretty robust. So why don't we just strap a bit of stuff on their back and off they go? So it does sound incredible, but that's where we're at. We're trying to combine any sort of technology with devices or insects out there already and see what we can do.
All right, so they're using solar panels on the backs of these Madagascan cockroaches, which are a couple of, they're awful-looking things, a couple of inches long. What happens if the sun isn't there?
Well, I think the idea is that any light at all would be enough to keep it charged up. And they did look at...
They're so tiny they wouldn't need a lot amount of light, would they?
They don't need much. And the idea here was that they could put a battery on of a certain size, but then you start to put a bigger battery on and it gets too heavy for them. So they thought, well, how about little solar panels? Because solar panels now, incredibly thin, and some of the solar panels that are around don't need much light and it doesn't have to be from the sun. So that's a great advantage there. So put the solar panel on, very tiny battery, off they go and bring us back information.
Well, they first scanned, apparently, the cockroaches before 3D printing the electronic devices. They used a special flexible material which fitted snugly around the thorax of these Madagascan cockroaches, allowing it to still move easily. So they're taking care of the if you like, the niceness of these cockroaches.
Isn't that sweet of them?
That's very sweet. It's very nice of them.
I think the main thing there was the 3D scan and then the 3D printing is to customise it. Can you get a load of this? Customise it to each individual cockroach to make sure it fits them just so. So that's really a way to make sure they can keep moving around as they normally would.
Yeah, and apparently a trial and error it was too before they hit the right amount of thickness on these solar panels and strapped it to the... And they've named some of these cockroaches. Can you believe that?
Well, I'm actually wondering about what the cockroaches think about this. Does anyone ask the cockroaches what they think? Do they want to be part of this?
Don't start doing that. Has anybody asked a free-range chicken if they know they're free-range chickens? That's what I want to know too.
Who knows? So cicadas, the next one, flying around with cicadas with things strapped to their back are the next ones, beetles maybe. So there's a whole range of different ones. And again, you're right, send them into places where we don't want to go and investigate places just to check maybe radiation levels, maybe to check what's happening in various areas. But lots of information you can get back as well. And that's the other good part about it. You can produce these very cheaply. So if you want to go and monitor an area for various substances, airborne substances on the ground, you can get really good monitoring because you can put so many of them in there.
Yeah, but they die. They're expendable, but you get what they've picked up back on your screen, do you, in your computer?
I wasn't going to talk about the death of them, Richard. This is a family-friendly show.
If they go into Chernobyl, they're going to turn green and explode. I mean, that's what happens.
All that stuff about cockroaches will be the only ones left after a nuclear blast is all rubbish, of course. Cockroaches are affected by nuclear radiation.
They are.
Yeah, that's right. So, yes, you're right. They are talking about, well, we don't care about the cockroaches too much. We're going to send them in and, well, we're going to get the data back from them. But, sorry, you've made your contribution.
Cockroach.
Yeah.
Your pet Madagascan cockroach. You know, if you actually get 2 cockroaches, if you're brave enough to get them, and if you break the head off one, okay, and then you sticky tape the other one upside down on its back, and you put them both on the ground, the one that you've taken the head off will actually crawl.
No cockroaches were harmed during this episode. I just want to remind listeners there. Have you tried this? Have you done this at home?
No, the only thing I've ever done was take a wing off a fly and it kept flying in a circle. Can you imagine one day, and this is really being, if you like, James Cameron or Ridley, not going to battle with humans, sending robots by remote control into battle.
That would be wonderful. The country with the country with the best technology would then win, rather than the country that had the most people they could have die in battle. But I do dream, Richard, that maybe we don't need to send anyone into battle and we all just get along friendly and sing kumbaya.
Your dreams, mate. You need battle to keep the country afloat. If you didn't have war, the finances of the country would collapse. Let me tell you.
Yeah, a lot of innovation happens during war.
Workers without a job if there was no army.
Well, all those defence forces, imagine the amount of dollars spent on defence, imagine that being out the door, that'd be terrible.
Yeah, and politicians would lose jobs because they were promising submarines that could actually sub. There you go. Hey, mate, you're going to get up early tomorrow. What's happening with Apple tomorrow?
This is their major launch event tomorrow morning. So around about 4 o'clock in the morning, I'll get up just to get prepared for it, and they'll have all the whiz-bangery you can imagine that Apple has in their launch event.
Where's it coming from?
It'll be streamed from America. They go from Apple headquarters. In the last couple of years, they haven't had an audience in, which has been a little bit stiff and stale the way it's been presented because they haven't had an audience. This year, I'm sure it'll be back with a huge audience there. And again, it's just the announcement of all the latest products, and they do jazz it up as only Apple can. They say things like, the best Apple phone ever. Well, you'd kind of hope that, wouldn't you? You wouldn't think they'd introduce a new phone that was not as good as the last one.
Yeah, this was a dud.
That's right. Yeah. And the fastest one ever.
Anyway, we'll make $1 million, but it's a dud. Don't bother.
Yeah, that's right. So that's
truly, seriously, how far can our smartphones go? I mean, what's left?
It's getting harder and harder every year now to get that next big innovation, that next big breakthrough. Now it seems to be more like iterative advances going forward, and that's still good. They're still making advances, but it is hard to imagine what might come up. That's the tough part for any of these companies. What's the next big innovation, the next big breakthrough?
What are you seeing?
Well, look, I'm seeing folding phones, but Apple isn't going to introduce a folding phone tomorrow. So I think
had folding phones.
Well, we've got folding screens on those folding phones now. So the Samsungs, they've got 2 folding phones. That's a big breakthrough, and that's something that's really advancing. Again, I think the next thing is really just getting to the stage where the phone becomes so much a part of us, whether we just integrate it into how we use it and maybe get back to the stage where it's smaller rather than larger. They seem to be going larger and larger, but that's a bit clumsy to carry around with us now. But we like that big screen.
We'll get back to that old brick. I remember we'll get that.
Well, it was laughable back then, but we do seem to be getting back towards that level, don't we, where it just seems to be getting larger all the time. But
Motorola.
Yeah, that's right. But anyway, tomorrow morning...
I've still got one. I use it as a paperweight and a door opener.
That's right. You can use it as a weapon too, I think.
Yeah, you chuck it at cockroaches that are going into Chernobyl and trying to pick up for us. Well, enjoy your day, and we'll see what happens with Apple tomorrow at 4 o'clock out of the USA. Have a good day today, won't you?
Thank you. We'll talk more about it.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, we'll do that.